Hey all, Foz here from Hangar Airbrush Studio. So finished painting the snake panels as a combination really of putting lots of candy on. I wanted to put it on quite dry so it didn't interfere with the detail of the artwork, and just random bits of stuff in the air whilst lacquering. I've got a few bits and pieces on the panels, so I want to flat and polish those out. So in this video I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do to get rid of that. If we have a quick look at what we've done, as you can see, there's a little bit of orange peel on the finish. It's not perfect, far from it actually. There's a couple of bits of dust landed in it. This bit's a little bit worse sadly. So I think what we're going to do is take all these bits back to the bench and then see what we can do to get these looking spot on. So I've got the first panel outside, and the light's even worse out here. Well, even better, so it shows it even worse. So first thing I'm going to do, grab myself a bit of 1500 grit, and I've got a bucket of warm soaky water. It's clean. You want to make sure this is a new piece of paper and a clean bucket. Give that a soak. So you're going to need that. You're going to need some towel just to keep going back over what you've done. And first thing I'm going to do is go lightly over the whole thing with 1500, and that's just going to highlight all of the little bits of stuff that have landed in it. So let me get cracking. So before I even start the sand, let me just put a little bit of water over it, just to loosen up anything that's light on the surface that you might end up just scratching in. You want to make sure that paper's really saturated because it's going to prolong the life of your sandpaper too. You don't want to push too hard. If you think about the end stage, and after this we're going to end up polishing it, and that's going to go in a circular motion too. So if we try to make sure we're always sanding in that, it's going to just help get rid of any sanding marks that we make. So if we go straight, that's going to be a bit harder for the polisher to get out. You want to try to keep your hand flat really too. Don't try to use your fingertips unless you really need to. So we want a nice even coat. We don't want to break through anywhere. And we'll just keep etching away, drying every now and again just to see where we're getting and see if it's looking flatter. So I spent a couple of minutes starting to wet sand this now, and we can see if I dry it, it's starting to go evenly matte, but there's still a couple of little bits like there. It's just something's landed in it, and that little bit of gloss around it is just where, if I try to explain, so the little bit of gloss around it is just a little bit of a low point. So what I need to do is keep sanding that area until it's all completely matted. So I'll start to focus just on those tiny little bits now. So I've gone over everything with 1500 grit now. It's a slow process. It takes a while. You've got to switch off though. You can't rush it. So it's all completely matted. I've then gone over the whole thing, making it wet again, and then 2000 grit. And just because there's a fair bit of black on this, I'm now going to just go over it with 2000. You've only got to go really light because all you're trying to do is take out the scratches from the 1500 grit in the 2000, and you'll, it sounds weird, but you kind of hear and feel the difference once it's done. It starts to glide rather than sand really. So we know we're nearly done now. So I'll just keep repeating this, just go on to the next few panels. This does take ages. I've been here for a good hour or so. Wet sanding, drying to see what I've missed, wet sanding, drying to see what I've missed, but it's just what it is. I hated it when I started. I was so worried about cutting through and screwing up hours of work, but it's actually quite a therapeutic process once you enjoy it and you just realise and accept it's going to take the time that it does take. Anyway, enough of me waffling on. Let's get the polisher out. Okay, so polishing. I've got this little, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, it's an AC Delco heavy duty hand polisher. The torque on it's mad, like the size of it is quite impressive. You want to make sure these are completely clean before using. I'll go through one every I don't know, every now and again. But I do look after it. After each time I use it, I take it off, give it a wash, so there's no white powder left from the polishing. That does seem to prolong its life. And it's also going to help to stop any bits of white dry polish from the job before scratching your next job. Been using this raw 610 extreme cut, so you've kind of got the extreme cut and then a finer cut afterwards. But I'll put this onto the pad. You want to make sure it's completely saturated. You don't want any of the any pad that's dry really, because they're the bits that are going to end up, well, it's going to contribute to burning through your paint. That's enough all rubbed in. We'll just give it a couple of little dabs. I'm not trying to do it all in one go in one area. Just want to give it an initial bite. It's quite clever, the extreme cut. It will sort of break down as you go through the job, so it will get to a finer cut as you polish up. So you only want to keep the pressure on and just have it really slow. You don't need it spinning a million miles an hour. So all we're trying to do at this point is just break that polish down into a clearer state. It's just starting to break down now. You want to pay particular attention to any corners. Naturally the product's going to be a bit thinner where it's dried and sealed off a bit, so you want to be extra careful there. They're the weak points that you're likely to cut through, to be honest with you. We can start to go a little bit quicker now. And actually, as I'm going quicker, I'm putting less pressure on, whereas before I was going quite heavy. I'm putting a bit less pressure on now. I'm envious of paint shops that can get a perfect gun finish. I'm dead jealous of that. I've still got a lot to learn myself, loads to learn, to be honest. And I guess it's one thing if you're painting a car door or a wing and you've just painted it blue and then you've cleared it, you're going to have a lovely finish, I guess, because you're not building up the layers. But airbrushing sometimes goes on so coarse that it can feel quite rough to touch. And so then the lacquer's got quite a job of trying to fill that and give a perfect gloss finish. I guess you're not setting yourself out for the best chance of getting the perfect out of the gun finish. But clearly a lot of people do. Like I said, I've got a lot to learn. I am no expert. So I'm sure I've missed a few bits, but let's have a little look to see if we've got any shine there. yeah, she's started to polish up now, so I'll keep going. I'll keep working my way around all of this. Yeah, it's definitely starting to polish up now. Yeah, so I've got that. I've got my boy over here, and having my guard around somewhere. Crikey, God knows where I put that. Oh yeah, there she is. I'll work my way through those and then come back to you. Right, a few hours in. They're looking much better. Look. So as you can see, I've gone over everything now with the hard cut compound. We've got a pretty decent finish now. All looking fairly respectable. What I'm going to do now is just go with the final little fine cut of a polish. But I think we're just about there. Don't forget to give this a clean after. It's pretty mucky now, but it will live to fight another day. Hope that helps. All the best.